When Star Trek Online's Incursion update went live, this introduced two new TFOs into the game, Resistance of Starbase One and Guillotine. Like most new TFOs in Star Trek Online, these were tied into an event, the Borg Tesseract event, and because they were event TFOs, they only had normal difficulties, which is, again, nothing new to Star Trek Online. Pretty much every new TFO has only had a normal difficulty for like the past 3 years. But after the Borg Tesseract event ended, these two new TFOs were given advanced and elite versions. Not only that, but they also made sure that the elite versions of these also have a chance to drop components for the advanced consoles. Specifically, they can drop the component for the Hangar Bay console. Like I said, it's been like 3 years since they've done this, so to me it was a happy surprise, but at the same time it really leaves me wondering if they could do it with these. What's been the holdup for all the other event TFOs from the past 3 years? Why don't they have advanced and elite versions? So today we're going to be going over which TFOs don't have which difficulties and which ones really should. We'll start with the TFOs that only have a normal difficulty, particularly ones that were released within the past few years. The first one is Birdcage. This is a ground TFO where you and 4 other players all team up with the Inquisitor to help break Mirror Dr. Crusher out of the prison cell she's being held in by the Emperor. This is a fun and engaging TFO that also is a crucial part of the plot to Star Trek Online, because otherwise Mirror Dr. Crusher just kind of shows up out of nowhere in the game's story, so you kind of need this for a sense of where she came from. So yeah, this is kind of a crucial plot point to the end of the Terran Gambit arc, so it's weird to me that this only has a normal difficulty. You would think more people would see it if it had, you know, advanced and elite level versions. Maybe not so much the elite, but I mean the advanced versions. More people play the advanced versions than the normal versions, I would think. Granted, I am assuming there, but am I wrong? Because like the normal versions do not give out as good rewards as the advanced versions, and who here is still, you know, queuing for random normal level TFOs, unless you're, you know, new to the game or running a new character? Next up is Forged in Fire. This is another ground TFO that was released, I think, in May of last year. This one is the one where you're basically doing the ground assault on Mirror Terok Nor that follows Counterpoint. You're running through the Promenade and other parts of Deep Space Nine, fighting the Terrans, all to stop Admiral Lita from taking possession of one of the Terran orbs, I think. Not the Terran orbs, the orbs of the Pa-Wraiths. Again, this is another one that only has a normal level option, which is weird to me because, one, this is the follow-up to Counterpoint, which actually does have an advanced and elite version, but also this TFO is actually technically a remake of an older TFO. This is sort of a modernized version of an old TFO called Assault on Terok Nor, which also had an advanced and elite version before they removed it from the game and replaced it with Forged in Fire. So yeah, what happened with Forged in Fire? Why didn't it get advanced and elite versions? Next is the first space TFO on the list, Jupiter Iratus, and this one was released as part of the 12th anniversary event. This is the one where you have to defend Jupiter Station from the attacking Terran ships. They're trying to steal files or something from the station, so you've got to defend it as well as the defense stations that are surrounding it. I know this one has been adapted into a patrol that has advanced and elite versions, but the TFO itself still only has a normal level version, which again, weird to me, just like the rest of these on this list. Next is another space TFO. This one is Leviathan, and this is the most recent one on the list. This one having come out back in May of this year with the Star Trek Online Unraveled season update. It's meant to be a recreation of the battle against Seeker, or the Other. So you're traversing along the body of the massive entity that is the Other, while fighting the Terrans and also the entity itself. And then you get to the end of it where you fight one of the compiler ships, which is the boss. It's a really fun TFO in my opinion, so it's weird that it didn't get more love. But, I mean, yeah, you could use the excuse of, well, this is the most recent one on the list, so maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet because there's plenty more ahead of it, but, you know, that kind of falls apart when you point out how Guillotine and Resistance of Starbase One both just got advanced and elite versions, and that event, like, just ended. So, like, why did they get it, and what's going on with all these others? Next is one of the oldest on this list, Mycelial Realm, which was released back in September of 2019. This is the one where you have to travel into the Mycelial Realm and help out hologram Stamets disable those devices that Ja'ula set all around the place, while simultaneously also fighting off the Alachi. There were other advanced and elite level TFOs since this one's release, so I never understood why this one got passed over. Next up is the one that's my favorite on the list, Operation Wolf, which was released in September of 2021. This is the one where it's a holodeck simulation and you're trading with Admiral Lita to take a team to break into the Terran version of Earth space stock. It's basically just constant run and gun against waves of Terrans that culminates in a fight against the mirror version of Admiral Quinn while he's in a runabout. Like I said, this is one of my favorites on this list because it's such a fun TFO because there's no stopping in it. You're literally just constant run and gun. There's no pausing for any stupid briefings or annoying cutscenes that take way too long or waiting for some NPC to catch up with you because you're having to keep him alive the whole time. No, it's just constant running away and shooting at the Terrans. It's great. And then it all culminates in fighting a freaking runabout while you're still on the ground. It's awesome. But again, like with all the rest of these, it's too easy because it only has a normal level difficulty. If I had to prioritize one TFO to get advanced and elite difficulties above all the rest on this list, it would be Operation Wolf. The last one on this list is Storm Chasers, which was released in September of last year. This is the one where it's the fight inside Seeker, where you're on all the platforms and you have to face all the automated drones that it sends after you. This is another really cool TFO with a lot of cool fights in it, but again is bogged down with the fact that it only has a normal level difficulty. There are no advanced or elite versions. Now technically there is another TFO that only has a normal level version, but there's a good reason for that. Romulan Imperial Minefield is one of the older TFOs in the game at this point. It got revamped, I think, a number of years ago at some point, so it was changed to Romulan Imperial Minefield. I think before it was like against the Gorn or something. But yeah, these days, Romulan Imperial Minefield still only has a normal level difficulty, but that is because this TFO is meant to be sort of the introduction for new players to the TFO system. That's why it only has a normal level difficulty, because it's meant to be sort of the beginner level TFO. I mean, it would be kind of cool if it did have an advanced and elite version, but at the same time, given that this is supposed to be the starter TFO, I don't think it needs it. There are also some TFOs that only go up to advanced level and don't have elite versions for some reason. Crystalline Catastrophe is one. This thing only goes up to an elite level. That's the one where 2 teams of 5 go up against the Crystalline Entity. It's a very easy TFO. Given that this is meant to be a 10-person TFO, this was meant to be one of the more difficult TFOs, but I mean, it's not. So I feel like it'd be really cool if they introduced an elite version to really give you the impression that this is supposed to be a challenge, which right now it is anything but. There's also Undine Assault. This is the one where you fight through the 3 lanes. You gotta make your way through them, close the Undine portals on the way through, and you know some secondary ones will pop up across the map. You gotta close those for the optional objective, and then fight your way up to the Planet Killer and destroy that thing. I don't know why this one doesn't have an elite version. I mean, it's perfectly fine as a normal and advanced TFO. I would think giving it an elite version would be obvious, but no, it didn't get one for some reason. I mean, like Mycelial Realm, this one seems to be just one that was kind of passed over for some reason. There's also Atmospheric Assault, but this is one of those TFOs that requires you to be in a shuttle, so who cares? Honestly, I'm surprised this thing is still even in the game to begin with. There's also the ground versions of the old Borg TFOs, so the ground versions of Infected, Kittimer, and Cure. These used to have elite versions, but they got taken out for some reason. I don't remember. The space ones also got taken out too, but eventually the elite versions of the space TFOs were reintroduced into the game, but the ground ones never were. It'd be kind of nice if they reintroduced the elite difficulties for the ground versions of Infected, Cure, and Kittimer, but at the same time, no one really plays these TFOs because they're ancient and also kind of broken, and there's just other things that just they're not up to the game's current standard, and if they're gonna do that, they really need to just find the time to update these TFOs entirely. With this current story arc, it's already given them an excuse to update some of the older Borg content, and I think it'd be really cool if they kind of took the opportunity to also take a look at these old ground TFOs as well. We can only hope, though. We'll see. Now, there are some other TFOs that I didn't talk about that I'm sure some of you are just ready and eager to point out in the comments how I didn't talk about them. So let's talk about why I didn't go over those. First is Arena of Sompek and Kobayashi Maru. These are a unique case. They only have normal level difficulties, but they're designed that their difficulty is meant to scale, you know, the further you get into the TFO. So with each round, each set of rounds, the TFO gets more and more difficult. It's meant to be like, you know, an attrition kind of thing. You're supposed to keep getting harder and harder, so there's really no need for it to start at advanced or elite. It's gonna get there eventually. There's also the old fleet-focused TFOs. That's Colony Invasion, Federation Fleet Alert, Federation Starbase Blockade, Federation Starbase Incursion, and Starbase Fleet Defense. Kind of like with the Borg ground TFOs, these things are ancient and haven't been touched in years. You know, if they're going to be adding new difficulties to them, they really should be doing that if they're going to update the TFOs as well, you know, make them more up to date with the game's modern standards, but obviously they probably don't have time for that, so they're just going to stay the way they are. And again, these aren't even part of the random TFOs, so that's another reason why I didn't count them. So, you know, there's not a lot of demand for these TFOs, I assume. I mean, again, it would be cool if they updated them, but I don't see it happening, so I didn't bother counting them. So yeah, while there are a number of TFOs that I wouldn't bother with, or a number that probably just are good as they are, that still leaves 7 different TFOs released within the past few years that really should have advanced or elite versions. To go over them again, that is Birdcage, Forged in Fire, Iupiter Eratus, Leviathan, Mycelial Realm, Operation Wolf, and Storm Chasers. Not only would having advanced and elite level versions of these TFOs get more playtime on these TFOs, because, you know, because there's only a normal level version of them, means that they're not going to be in the advanced level random TFOs, and, you know, the elite ones, it's just fun to have the option to do the elite ones, especially with the advanced consoles being out. And that's the other thing, it'd be nice to have more TFO options when grinding for the advanced consoles, particularly for the isomagnetic consoles. Like seriously, with that one, I feel like I'm just running the same 4 TFOs over and over again trying to get the isomags. It'd be nice to add a couple of these ones to that list. But yeah, I just wanted to take the time to talk about this because, you know, Guillotine and Resistance of Starbase One unexpectedly got advanced and elite versions, so it really left me wondering what's the holdup on all these other TFOs. So yeah, those are all the ones that don't have advanced or elite versions. Hopefully Cryptic will get around to enabling those difficulties for those TFOs eventually, but who knows. Before we wrap up, I wanted to do an Ask Me Anything video. I did one of these. It wasn't a video last time. It was just a community post, and it should have been a video. So this time I'm actually doing a Ask Me Anything video. It'll be, I don't know if it'll be the next one or the one after that, but I want to do that soon. You know, because obviously I need time for you guys to actually ask questions. So I put up a community post on the channel. I'll link to it down below as a pinned comment, and just go there and ask me anything you want if you have a question. And hopefully I will answer it in a video. And while you're down there, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Let me know what you guys think and whatnot, you know, all that usual outro stuff. If you want to further support the channel, you can hit the join button to become a member. If you're ever shopping on the Epic Games Store, be sure to use my content creator code STU1701 while you're checking out. You know, all that stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. My name's Stu, and I will see you guys next time.